Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to Make or Break Sports. Have a little ranking special for you today. Today we're going to be talking about the 2017 fantasy football quarterback rankings. I'm Matt. Got Ben over there.
What's going on, guys? How we doing today? Like Matt said, we're gonna do a couple of these specials as we go. We do our regular podcast, which is a little bit longer. Be special for trying to bring stuff to you in a much more timely manner, 20 minutes or so. But today we're gonna break down the quarterbacks a little bit. We have our top 15 for you. If you remember from our first podcast, we broke down the rankings what we first had, but we went through after seeing a little bit of the preseason games, seeing what some changes have been made in the offseason. We decided to go in and make changes to those, update them a little bit. So we're going to break those down for you a little bit today. And since drafts are getting close, we figured it's a good time to start getting up on your research and get going. So let's
And real quick, before we get started, if you haven't checked out our normal episodes podcast, we usually send them out on Mondays. Go check them out. We have 5 episodes. They're a little bit longer, usually about an hour. So go check those out. All kinds of cool stuff and many more coming. So if you're not subscribed, hit that sub button. Make sure you throw a like on the video. So, Ben, let's get into it. We got our top 15. We're not really going to focus too much on the 15 through 11.
Right, we're just going to get the starters, the main QB 1 through 10 we're going to talk about. But we have like the best of the rest is what we call them. And so that's 15 through 11. And we got number 15, we have Marcus Mariota. Number 14 was Matt Stafford. 13, Phillip Rivers. 12, Jameis. And 11, we got Cam Newton. Not too much going on really with those guys. I mean, those are going to be your quarterbacks if you need a guy to start. I mean, they definitely can be starters for you, I think. You got guys that, those are going to be the guys you get in the late draft as the draft gets later into the double-digit rounds. But the only thing I've noticed compared to the rankings, Matt, is as far as I don't really have a lot of changes going on in mine, but you moved Matt Stafford from QB9 to QB14. What have you seen from him so far that's made you drop him 5 spots?
Yeah, I moved Matthew Stafford down a little bit, mainly through looking at a couple different things. I looked at their strength of schedule, and the Detroit Lions have one of the bottom half as in terms of hardest schedules for quarterbacks. I don't really think, I think he's got a tough schedule coming up. The Vikings, the Packers, and the Bears defense is tough. I don't really like his receiving core as much either. That's the main thing for me. It's not so much that he dropped, but other people kind of jumped into that top 15 for me and that top 10, just looking at some stuff. When you look at Golden Tate being their number 1 wide receiver, I don't really think Golden Tate is a proven number 1 wide receiver. I know there's everyone talking about Kenny Golladay, the wide receiver who
Kenny G,
baby. He's been playing well this preseason, and a lot of people are talking about him, but once again, you don't know how legitimate he's going to be. And Eric Ebron, not too much of a proven receiving target as well at that tight end position. So this was more of I don't believe in Stafford. I think in terms of his schedule and weapons, he kind of dropped a little bit for me after doing some research. Basically, the thing is with these guys, with the Newtons, the Winstons, Mariota, even your Rivers, Stafford, a couple other guys we could have mentioned, but these were just our top 15. These are guys that if you decide to wait on a quarterback, which is a popular strategy nowadays, lots of people are deciding to go heavy on running back, wide receiver, stock up on those positions, and then try to snag a quarterback late. In terms of these couple guys, who do you think is the most value that you can get late round if you decide to wait on a quarterback and don't get those starter guys?
For me, it was Tyrod Taylor until all this trading and stuff happened. I love Tyrod. I was all in on Tyrod with the mobility he has, being able to run the ball. He doesn't necessarily throw for a lot of yards, but I thought him to Sammy Watkins was going to be big. I thought getting Anquan Boldin was actually big for them too. I'm less optimistic now. I do think Tyrod Taylor's up there, but I am in love with Jameis. I've been watching Hard Knocks, being here in Tampa, it's a lot of hype, and you get to see a lot of video. And he's looking good. He looked good in the preseason game the other night with the exception of one pass, but I mean, for me, Jameis is the guy that, not only he's a guy I might wait on, he's a guy that I would want as my quarterback. So you could, if you do that later route. So Jameis is it for me. Phillip Rivers right there as well. He's, throws for close to 5,000 yards. He has potential to go for 5,000 yards. So those 2 guys are the main guys in that group that I'd say. But
yeah, I'm a big fan of Winston. I think he's got an upgraded receiving core. He's got a decent offensive line. They have a decent defense, and their schedule's very easy in terms of for quarterbacks. So I like Winston.
South, right.
In the NFC South, not a lot of great defenses in that division, with the exception of maybe the Panthers. And he gets to play the Saints twice a year, which is an absolute he can have a monster day against the Saints. I like him, and I actually kind of like Mariota. I think Mariota's another guy.
Mariota gets to play the Colts twice a year.
He gets to play the Colts twice a year. So once again, same boat, as you can see, Colts stuff in the background. Yeah, I like Mariota a lot. Newton, I'm not super high on. I think that he is going to be overrated. I think he's going to be drafted a lot higher than he should in most cases, because we have him ranked at 11, but I think he's going to be taken like the 7th or 8th quarterback in a lot of drafts, and I don't think he deserves that title. But
no, I'm with you on that one, buddy.
That's just kind of like the best of the rest of what we have. So getting into the top 10, Ben, top 10 we have at number 10 coming in is Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys. Starting off his sophomore campaign, what do you like about Dak?
Well, I mean, I liked Dak a lot more before everything happened with Zeke. I had Dak at 8. I moved him down now to QB 10, so he dropped down a little bit for me. He has the weapons. He's got Dez Bryant. He's got the ever-consistent Jason Witten. He's got Terrence Williams still. He's got the Rico Gathers, who's coming along as a tight end. He got the weapon that I think people talk about, and that's Cole Beasley. But last year, Dak, his rookie year, 3,700 yards, 23 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. The thing that Dak brings to the table is he's another one quarterback. He has that rushing potential. He didn't run a lot last year, but I think we've seen it in college. We did see glimpses of it last year, but he has the potential to run the ball. But now with Zeke being gone, not that McFadden is definitely a downgrade, but not that he's no slouch, but teams are going to be keying in on the pass more. So I just think Dak's stock went down a little bit because of the Zeke suspension.
I don't think his stock changed a whole lot. I still like Dak. I think Dak is that fringe starter in fantasy. He's not a great starter, but he'd be good to have if you get him as your second quarterback or your first quarterback. He's kind of right in that weird zone.
Right.
But I think with no Zeke, I think he's going to have to throw the ball a lot more and also become more utilized in that passing game. So I actually kind of like Dak. I don't think his stock was too much changed by the Ezekiel Elliott suspension. But like Dak, I think he's one of those guys. He's right on the verge of being a good starter versus maybe a really good backup kind of guy. So that's number 10, Dak Prescott.
We got number 9, one of the guys that I'm super hyped about this year. We got Kirk Cousins. We have him at QB 9. Matt, you have him at 11. You moved him up a little. I was happy to see that. We moved him from 14 to 11. I have him at QB 6. I'm all in, not only on the Redskins. I don't want to say the Redskins because their backfield is a little shaky for me yet, but I just think they're going to be throwing the ball all over the field, up and down, throwing to Terrell Pryor Sr., throwing to Jameson Crowder, going to those guys. Jordan Reed, if he's healthy, as a weapon. I love Kirk Cousins this year. Matt, I know you don't necessarily hate him, but you're just not as high on him, so I don't know.
I moved him up a little bit, looking at his schedule and also looking at his weaponry that he has. We talked about, in our last episode, we did the NFC East, talking about all the underrated weapons that he has, and I think that's something that a lot of people forget. He's got Terrell Pryor, who I think is on the verge of a very good season, very breakout potential season. Jamison Crowder, obviously solid. Jordan Reed, a very good tight end. And then a decent little backfield stable that they've got going on in Washington. I think that Kirk, I'm not as high on him as you are. I think 6 is a little high for him. I think 9 is a fair spot right there because they do chuck the ball, and they're going to have to throw the ball quite a bit because they don't have great running backs. So I could see Kirk is another one of those guys that if you wait on a quarterback and you go running back heavy early, Kirk wouldn't be a bad guy to snag in the later rounds.
And I mentioned this. So he did have last year, he had 4,900 yards, 25 touchdowns. He did have 12 interceptions. But the thing I mentioned to you that people don't really realize, the last 2 years, he has the second most rushing touchdowns amongst quarterback. He had 6 the year before, or 2015, and 4 last year. So he had 10 rushing touchdowns the past year. So that's just another fantasy value where in our league, for example, you get 4 points for a passing touchdown and 6 for a rushing touchdown. For a quarterback that can squeeze in a rushing touchdown, once every other week or so, once every third week, like that's a big deal. That's an extra, couple points every week. And, fantasy is a game of numbers. So I think
it's all about getting the points.
And I just think Kirk Cousins has that potential to do that. So
absolutely. Kirk Cousins coming in at number 9 on our quarterback rankings. Number 8, a guy that I really like, Raiders quarterback Derek Carr.
I think you called him before the truth, correct?
He's the truth. Sure Derek Carr is the truth. I think he's about to have a really good season. Dropped him a little bit. I actually dropped him one spot from the last ranking, but
6 to 7.
But I love Derek Carr. I'm all in on him.
I bumped him up, so yeah.
I think he's got an awesome offensive line. He's got a great weapons core in terms of Cooper and Crabtree, probably one of the better wide receiving duos in the NFL. The only reason that holds me back, and I actually dropped him because when you look at the defenses he's got to face in that division, the Chiefs and the Broncos twice a year, that could be tough. I think
San Diego's defense isn't – I mean, they're not that level, but they're not bad either. San Diego,
no, they're not bad. They have good cornerbacks.
Exactly, yeah.
So I do like Derek Carr, though. That is the one reason I slid him that one spot was because of that the tough defenses he has. But he has a ton of weapons, and I think the Raiders are poised for another really good season what a rise the Raiders have made the last couple of
Oh,
years.
it's great. I mean,
and I think you have to attribute it all to Derek Carr's emergence. He's been great.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, they have the weapons. I call them the seafood duo on the outside with calamari and crabs. So they got the seafood. We'll go with that. But Derek Carr had about 4,000 yards last year, 28 touchdowns, 6 picks. We know he got hurt at the end of the year. So, I mean, those numbers definitely have potential to go up a little bit as well. But definitely room to grow. I think with the addition of Marshawn Lynch, it's going to definitely boost the passing game a little as well because people know Marshawn Lynch can run the ball hard. So, but I mean, Derek Carr, we got at QB8. I think that's a pretty approximate spot for him. Like I said, I'm a little low. I got QB9. But I mean, hey, what are you going to do? And that's he has that potential. But
I like Carr a lot. I think he's going to slide in a lot of drafts and allow you to take those, like we keep talking about, stocking up on the position players and snag him late. I think he has a ton of value.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those late rounds. He'd be like he's a quarterback that I wouldn't take till like round 9, but he'd be the one and like in that range because I think there's 3 different ranges. We'll talk more about that. I'll get into that at the end a little bit, just go over what I'm thinking as far as number-wise. But let's go ahead and keep moving. So we had Derek Carr, number 8, going up. Now, QB7, we have number 7. We got Ben Roethlisberger. Big Ben coming off a decent year. I don't want to say he had a great year, but a good year for the Steelers, getting to the AFC Championship game. They're my team, of course. You see me wearing the Steelers jersey before. But Martavis Bryant, not 100% back yet. He is being able to participate in preseason, but they're expecting him to be fully ready to go by week 1. Le'Veon Bell coming in healthy. Hopefully he shows up. But Antonio Brown, Martavis Bryant, Juju Smith-Schuster, they got all the weapons, Matt. What are your thoughts?
I like Big Ben. I think Big Ben is a solid quarterback. He's just been so consistent over the years. He brings that toughness. And when you've got the weapons that Ben Roethlisberger has, you got to love him for fantasy because Antonio Brown, as good as any as it gets in the business, Le'Veon Bell, arguably the best pass-catching running back in the NFL. And then when you talk about Bryant, Eli Rogers, and a guy I like, Penn State, Jesse James, alum, another guy who I think is on the rise. I think he's got great weapons, a solid offensive line, and you get to play the Browns twice a year, so you got to love that for Big Ben. But I think he is solid. He's another one of those guys that's right in that middle tier. I'd be more than happy to have Ben on my team because he is going to slide. He gives you a lot of great value in the mid to late rounds.
Yeah. Just to go over, the one thing that everybody talks about with Roethlisberger is his home road splits, and it is definitely something you have to take into consideration. Over the past 2 years combined, he's thrown 36 touchdowns, 12 interceptions at home, and on the road he's thrown 14 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. So those are definitely not the numbers you want to have for those home road splits. But at the same time, you have to understand that he's a guy that always has that big play potential with the wide receivers he has. So he might be a good guy to pair with one of that, like a Ben Roethlisberger, maybe like a Matt Stafford combo, where you can fill Stafford in there when Roethlisberger's on the road, and Stafford can still throw 15, 16 points in there for you as a backup quarterback, which is all you can ask for. But Ben at number 7, Matt and I both have him right around that number, so it's pretty. I think it's a good spot for him. He has him at 8, I have him at 7. So Roethlisberger, I definitely think is a good fit there. But
coming in at number 6, we have my boy. I wish he was a little higher. I'm a little higher on him, but because of the injury issues and the uncertainty with whether he's going to start the season,
I'm not high on him. So
Andrew Luck, Colts starting quarterback, hopefully starting quarterback for week 1. We have him coming in at number 6. He would be higher for me. I had him at 4 in the first rankings. I dropped him to 6 because of the uncertainty about his shoulder. Anytime your throwing shoulder's injured, now you're going to be talking about possibly sitting out a couple games. What do you think, Ben? It's a tough situation in Indy right now with Andrew Luck.
So first of all, I just want to let everybody know I do not hate the Colts or anything like that. That's just me trying to pick on Matt. That's a nice little gesture. We have that little bicker going back and forth, and I am up in the pick challenge, but that's for a different day. I don't want to keep rubbing that in too much on him. But Andrew Luck, Matt, scared me greatly right now. I think it affects the whole team. I had him at QB6 before, and now I dropped him all the way down to QB9. They're saying the report this week was expected to be ready for week 1, which is never a good sign. Like, he's going to miss all of the preseason. The expected to be ready kind of even scares me even more that he's not just resting and being ready to go. He hasn't really even thrown yet that much. He's a guy that if he's healthy, he's going in 4th, 5th round and up there with Rodgers and with Brady, I honestly feel. And now he's a guy that, he's going to be going later in the draft. So he might be worth that risk. But at the same time, it affects the whole team. It affects T.Y. Hilton for me. It affects Dante Moncrief. It affects the run game. And they just lost their center for the first
Brian
couple.
Kelly,
Ryan Kelly's out
he'll
for
probably
the
miss the
first
first half
8
of the
weeks.
season.
Exactly. He's on the PUP already. So for me, that's a big deal as well because you're going to come back. If Andrew Luck's healthy, you're going to have a backup center in there basically. So the Colts are a mess right now on the offensive line when it comes to the offensive line and the quarterback.
Yeah,
so
it's tough.
It's
It's
scary.
tough for the Colts right now. And the one thing that you have to take into consideration when drafting Luck is he hasn't played at all in the preseason. He just now started to throw this week. So you are going to have to possibly put up with some struggles early on. I do think because of he slid a lot because of the injury, I think he still does provide some value depending on how far he slides in your draft. Don't be afraid to take Andrew Luck. The Colts still have a chance to make a lot of things happen on offense. Their defense struggles, but that puts them in a position where they have to chuck the ball a lot. So I think in terms of fantasy production, when healthy, Andrew Luck is a top-tier quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely, when he's healthy. But, I mean, I just think he needs to get to that point. He needs to get to a point of being able to consistently throw, maybe do when I hear him go through a practice, it'll be more encouraging for me. But for now, I can't be too high on him. But I can be high on the next guy because I don't know if you saw the game last night, Minnesota and Seattle. But our QB5 coming in is going to be Russell Wilson. Matt, last night Russell Wilson looked awesome. He was, I think,
He did look really good
13
last
of 18.
night.
He had 200 yards, 2 touchdowns in less than a half.
I couldn't believe they played him that much, to be honest with you.
No, I mean, I couldn't. But, I mean, I think they're just trying to get in the rhythm. They have a lot of changes, especially with the offensive line. They have a lot of changes. I think they might have lost an offensive tackle last night, though, in that game. I think he might have got hurt. But, Matt, he looked great. And it was Minnesota's defense. But he did play against the first team for a majority of that, especially on the first couple of drives. He led them to a touchdown on, I think, their first drive. And that was against their first-team defense. And he just marched them down the field. But Russell Wilson, I think I've had him the past couple of years on my team. He's just got the full package. He's mobile. Last year was limited mobility, and he still finished as a top 7 QB. I think he finished as QB 6 or 7 last year. He's mobile. He's got the weapons with Jimmy Graham, Doug Baldwin. Big guy we're high on Paul Richardson this year. And I think the weapon that he has the most that he really likes is CJ Procise, being able to move from the backfield out to the flex and play a little receiver position in the slot. I just think that he has all kinds of weapons. He's got the mobility. That division with the 49ers defense isn't that great.
Yeah, they have a pretty easy schedule as far as –
Yeah, the Rams defense is good, but I don't want to say their cornerbacks are that great. I know they just got the EJ Gaines from
and they play the AFC South.
Exactly. So they get the Colts, they get the Titans. The Jags are a different story, and the Texans aren't great as well at the cornerback position after losing Bouye. But I think Russell Wilson's a full package. Definitely deserves a spot in the top 5. So
yeah, he's definitely up in that upper tier of quarterbacks. Russell Wilson coming in at our number 5 quarterback. Number 4, we have Drew Brees, the veteran, been around for, it seems like 1,000 years in New Orleans, but the dude is just poised for another great season. I like him. I think he's got a decent core of weapons. I think he's got a solid schedule. One of the easiest. Actually, the Saints, believe it or not, have one of the easiest schedules for quarterbacks this year coming in. So I like Drew Brees. They chuck the ball. You can never really trust their running game because of the struggles on their offensive line. So he has to chuck it. I like Michael Thomas a lot as a wide receiver for him. I think they have a chance to have a really good season. Or offensively. Yeah, I'm not super high on the Saints record-wise.
Their defense is actually worse than the Colts. So, I mean, that's how you know it's tough for them to stop anybody. So their games are going to end in 45 to 42 shootout.
Right, it's just complete shootouts. The Saints are the shootout team, and fantasy points come from that.
Just to give you a number, Drew Brees, he's thrown for over 5,000 yards 5 times, and no other quarterback's ever done that twice. So, I mean, you got, the guys like Peyton Manning, Dan Marino, Brett Favre. None of those guys have ever done it more than 2 times, and here's Drew Brees doing it 5 times. So, like you said, he's got the weapons. I'm really high on Ted Ginn Jr. this year, so I think he's got to watch out for when it comes to weapons. But I know he lost Brandon Cooks, but I think Drew Brees has potential again. He'll probably throw for over 5,000 yards. He'll probably throw for.
It's never really mattered to him who his targets are.
No,
he always just finds the guy.
The only thing that hurts Drew Brees is you're going to have that interception factor as well. He has that 2-to-1, a little higher than 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, which, it's not terrible, but it's not great when you're throwing, you're going to expect 2 touchdowns and an interception almost every game, but that's what you're going to get out of him.
The thing I love about Drew Brees is a lot of people always talk about his age, but he's proven that he can play at a really high level, even at an advanced age. So that's not an issue for me at all this year. I like Drew Brees coming in at number 4.
Yeah, sticking in that division, we got the reigning MVP at QB3. We got Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan could definitely very easily finish as the number 1 quarterback in fantasy, as he's done. I think he's done that once before. He's finished as a QB1, but playing with a team that has, you want to talk about weapons and plays heck of an offense, you got the Atlanta Falcons with Devontae Freeman, you got Julio Jones, You got Tevin Coleman on the outside as well. You got Gabriel. You got Austin Hooper. They just loaded with weapons. Matt Ryan last year threw for 4,944 yards, 38 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions. He had 117.1 QBR, led the Falcons to the Super Bowl before they choked after they were up 28-3, as everybody knows. But Matt, I mean, I don't know what else you can really say about Matt Ryan. I just think he's got
Matty Ice, baby.
He's got Matty Ice. He's got the poise, the confidence that a quarterback needs, and I think he's a great QB.
He just seems to me like he just gets better and better every year. He seems to just get more mature, and he just seems more comfortable. And right now, I think he's at the top of his game. He's got arguably another one of those guys that's in that best receiver in football category in Julio Jones. A pretty solid offensive line, a top 10 offensive line definitely for the Atlanta Falcons. And they have a very easy schedule in terms of against the pass in that division as well because the Saints, obviously, the Buccaneers, and the Carolina Panthers. So I like Matt Ryan. I think that they're going to be good again. I think they're going to go win 12 or 13 games yet again and be a very big threat in the NFC. And Matt Ryan is going to be the focal point to that. I think he's going to have the offense.
I think what gets interesting with him, man, and a lot of the mock drafts I've been doing and stuff, he's not going until end of the 6th, sometimes 7th, even 8th round.
Yeah, he slides.
So for me, he's that guy where I think you can start looking if you really want to take a quarterback that's not Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady. Like, you could really look there because he's fallen enough where you can fill up, 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 3 running backs, 2 wide receivers, whatever you might have, a tight end in there. Like, if you can fill up your roster to feel strong enough with a starting core, then I think he's where you want to start looking. And when it comes to that quarterback, he might be the one to sneak up and get. But if you don't sneak up and get one like Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, then I think you definitely wait till later.
Right.
So
there's a very big gray zone with quarterbacks. Once you get past those Wilsons, and then you're almost better off waiting.
Yeah, because it's like for me, it's like Rodgers and Brady. You can look in Rodgers and looking in like the 4th, 5th round. Brady 5th, 6th round probably, but that the quarterback.
I've seen them go even as high as 3rd.
Oh, I've seen them go in the 2nd round, like late 2nd, because people want that quarterback, which is crazy. But that quarterback chain that happens. It's like, oh, somebody wants that top 2 quarterback. So if someone takes Rodgers, somebody's going to take Brady right after him. But I think it's like those 2, and then it goes. There's like the Ryan, Brees, Wilson, maybe Luck if he gets healthy. Like definitely in that next tier where it's like rounds 5 through like 8. But then after that, I'm not drafting a quarterback to like round 10 or 11.
I think Ryan provides as good a value as any because I think he is on that fringe of being that superstar quarterback, and he's sliding like an extra round or so past.
Yeah, and it's all about roster breakdown too, what you have on your roster and what you need. And like for me, like I'm a guy like if I have a Julio Jones, I don't really want a Matt Ryan. I mean, that might be a different scenario because those two, always have the connection, but I'm just not a big fan of having the 2 on the same team, but hey, you never know what's going to happen. You never know how the draft's going to work out. So, but yeah, so Matt Ryan is definitely up there. I think he's probably the best value quarterback in the draft.
Coming in at number 3, Matt Ryan, and then at number 2, no surprise here, the reigning Super Bowl champion, the GOAT, Tom Brady.
Kills me to say it, but it is.
I know. I hate to say it, too. As a big Peyton Manning fan right up there, it really hurts me to say it, but Tom Brady is validated, man. He is as good as it's ever been. And coming in fantasy this year, there's no reason to expect he's going to have any decline. Reload with weapons. They've got all kinds of weapons. They bring in Brandon Cooks from the Saints. He's got Gronk, who, when healthy, is the best tight end ever. And then you have other guys like Amendola, Edelman. They brought in Dwayne Allen. You have his running back stable. They have James White and Dion Lewis and Rex Burkhead and Mike Gillislee. So this offense is poised to just function on all cylinders yet again.
I talked a little bit about that touchdown to interception ratio of Brees of 2.5, 3 to 1. How's this? Tom Brady's touchdown to interception ratio last year 14 to 1. He had 28 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions.
Crazy numbers.
He missed 4 games and still threw for 3,600 yards. He had the potential to throw for 5,000 yards last year if he played all 16 games.
What did he finish at? QB2, missing 4 games? QB3.
I think he finished at QB4, actually. I think it was Rodgers, Ryan, Brees were in front of him.
And then he finished at QB4.
I think he finished at
Arguably
QB4.
Could have challenged for QB1 with those extra 4 games.
Oh, absolutely. But what more can you say about Tom Brady? He's done it year after year. You talk about guys getting older. People talking about age. Guys just turned 40, and I don't see him slowing down anytime soon. So you got the ever-consistent Tom Brady at QB2. But I think I don't think you get any debate about who QB1 is. And our QB1 is going to be Aaron Rodgers. seems to just do stuff that you don't think is possible when he's out there, whether it's throwing across his body to the sideline, whether it be chucking 65-yard Hail Marys into the end zone.
He has a rocket launcher on his right arm.
Aaron Rodgers is a consensus QB1 or unanimous QB1.
Yep, unanimous QB1.
4,400 yards last year, 40 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He's mobile. He can move. He always has a rushing touchdown here or there. He's got the weapons. They added Martellus Bennett, another weapon this year, a definite upgrade from Jared Cook. Jordy Nelson just came back from a full year, and he's healthy again. He had the most receiving touchdowns in the NFL last year.
Don't sleep on Devontae Adams. Don't forget about
Randall Cobb still there in the offense. I just think they have all the weapons. I think Aaron Rodgers is the guy.
And they don't have a great running game. With Ty Montgomery, who's more of a pass catcher than a running back. They're going to be chucking the ball like crazy. I think Rodgers is going to continue.
He has the potential to be the GOAT by the time it's all said and done because he's only 33 years old. So
he could improve. I mean, I think he could improve upon 40 touchdowns, to be honest with you. I think he could go up and get into the mid-40s, maybe even more. But I think Rodgers is poised for a great season. He comes in at our unanimous QB number one.
He's that guy with Matt. I would definitely, if I got the first couple rounds solid and who I want in the first 3 rounds, he's a guy that I'm definitely going to be looking for in the fourth. I think he's worth it because he's, with the exception of maybe Tom Brady, he's going to outscore the other quarterbacks by 4 or 5 points every week. Those first tier, then the other guys he has the potential to outscore by 8, 9 points, which is a big deal in fantasy football.
And it's just great. And when you talk about these quarterbacks, and even the Rodgers, Brady, even all the way down to the Ryan Brees, those kind of guys, Wilson, just to not have to debate about what quarterback you're going to play every week is so nice.
When he's playing,
when you can just get Rodgers and say, Rodgers is my guy, lock it in, you'll never sit him. It's just such a great feeling. It makes things so easy for you in fantasy football. So I love Rodgers. I think he's going to be great this year, and he's he should be the first quarterback taken because I just think he's got the full package this year.
Yeah. So guys, that does it for our ranking. We're gonna run through them again real quick. We'll do 10 to 1. We already, like I said, we had the 15 through 11 that we kind of think are right there. But 10 through 1, you got Dak Prescott at 10. We got Kirk Cousins at 9. Derek Carr's at 8. Ben Roethlisberger's at 7. Andrew Luck's at 6. And Matt, you got the top 5.
Coming in at 5, we have Russell Wilson. Number 4, Drew Brees. Number 3, Matt Ryan. Number 2, the GOAT. And number 1, Aaron Rodgers. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been our quarterback rankings. We're going to be doing another special for the running back rankings sometime next week. We're also going to be doing our episode number 6 for our longer podcast on Monday night. So definitely stop in. If you haven't seen any of those, stop in and check that out.
And don't forget, guys, if you still want to get in our listener league, we're still running the listener league, trying to get people to sign up for that. So if you have any interest, definitely message us here on Facebook. Hit us up on Twitter, either one of me or Matt. Go on our website. Just get in contact. Facebook. Get in contact with us somehow.
Yep. Find us on Twitter at MRB Sports. Find us on Facebook /MRB Sports. Our website makeorbreaksports.weebly.com. Get at us. Comment. Subscribe. Like. Tweet us. Let us know if there's anything you want to see, and maybe you'll see it in our next episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. See you next time.
Have a good one, guys. Take care.